it was like hours that they didn't respond after sending a text like that, and I was like freaking out the whole time. And that happened so many times where they would just rant on me and then ghost. I'm just sitting there like, the fuck? What's up, guys? It's Charlie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today, as you can see, we have this whole contraption here, and I have my friend Rachel.
Hey guys.
Everyone on the internet lately has been obsessed with relationships. I feel like everyone's always very like into that stuff just in general. I think just the way that I grew up, like especially because I was raised religious, I didn't experience like any of these red flags until I got out here to LA. We're gonna talk about our different experiences with these different red flags and what we think you guys should look out for when dating just in general, but this is our experience in LA. I feel like I want to see which one you're at. Close my eyes.
You're like feeling it, feeling the energy over here.
Ooh, okay. First red flag is overly active on Snap/DMs. Follows girls that don't follow back. This is one that I've seen a lot lately and something that I've personally experienced. I feel like social media makes relationships just complicated in general nowadays.
Absolutely.
Photos and videos and DMs and meeting people that way, just in my opinion, is like not a very authentic way to make connections. I, have been on social media for 5 years and I've met some incredible people through social media, but it's typically work-oriented, and those people have come and gone throughout my life, and it's still very important to value the people that are in your life. And when you're just constantly on social media, especially like Snapchat, I just hate Snapchat so much. So in conclusion, with being overly active on Snap/DMs, follows girls that don't follow back. My specific scenario with myself that happened, it was just someone that I was dating, and that was a huge red flag that I ignored, and it turned out that actually did end up being a problem, because I've probably been in like 4 serious relationships, and 3 out of those 4 have had some sort of problem with sending nudes over Snapchat. I'm like, this is crazy. Kind of over it, but first red flag.
Overreacting over simple questions and requests. Ooh. In my experience, if I ask a significant other to do something that's like important to me, it should be important to them too, because I would feel that way towards them. They're not doing it because they want to, they're doing it because they think they have to. And I think that just shows that there's some disconnect or like some need of yours just not being met.
Having patience with your partner is super important, and if you don't want to take the time to have those conversations, to help them with those things, to like incorporate your life and your things that you do on a daily basis into that person's life, then like you really shouldn't be in a relationship, in my opinion. There's a lot of other red flags that I know that I wrote in here that kind of relate to that, but if people overreact,
or they're really defensive right away when you weren't like attacking them,
I feel like that means that they're hiding something, something is going on. So like that's a big one for me too with that one. And it's crazy because growing up, I didn't really experience these things either until I got older. Like I don't know why this is getting harder for people as we get older. People are more like
I agree,
restricted. I don't know how to describe it. Only hangs out with you with a group of people. Specifically out here, people really like to run in like posses and groups, and big personalities will have posses or groups around them where there's people that are like placeholders, I guess.
Yeah.
When you're constantly with someone who can only hang out with you in a group of people, like doesn't make time to like separate themselves and spend quality time and go on dates and like all that stuff. Like if you're just the girlfriend and like the piece to show off to like all the people around them, like that is just the worst. I've had that happen just way too many times.
Oh, absolutely. Or like they make no effort to hang out with like your group of friends. I don't know, maybe they don't feel comfortable or they just don't want to, but I feel like it's a red flag.
We're chameleons, we can blend in. I can go hang out with the boys. Why can't you do the same? If someone's constantly with other people and they don't know how to be alone,
oh, that's a huge red flag.
That's a big one.
Okay, let's see. Oh, this one. Say I love you too quickly, or love bomb.
It's a big one.
Okay, this is one that has happened a lot with me. I just think that there's definitely something to be said for when you meet someone right off the bat and you have that like connection, and I feel like that's really rare, but I think to truly love someone you have to know them really well, and I think it takes work and time and commitment. And if you've known them for 2 days, 1 day, 2 weeks, and they're already saying they love you, they don't love you. I just personally don't think that they can. They don't know you. And I also think a huge thing is when they pressure you to say it back.
Yeah.
Everyone is, on their own timeline. You may be in a situation where you guys both say it at the same time, or, you're waiting until the other person says it, but you should never make your partner feel like they're obligated to say it when you say it. It's manipulative. It's a huge red flag. I mean, I've definitely been in situations where I didn't feel comfortable not saying that I'm not there yet because I didn't want to hurt their feelings. But at the end of the day, it's just doing both of you a disservice.
It really is. It's almost like offensive to me. Like,
yeah,
when people say it
I'm
too
like,
early.
you don't love me yet.
I'm like, you don't even
yet.
know me. Like, how? That's crazy. And you know, if you are someone that does that, like, there's nothing wrong with loving quickly, loving hard. Like, I'm a big believer in that. All these like titles and labels now of like dating and we're this and we're not doing this, like, it just restricts you from doing things. Which, while trying to figure out if you love that person and really want to be with that person, it can be very damaging to the relationship too. Like, adding those restrictions. I always want to know that person is just gonna choose me. I don't want to have to like convince them.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's like one size doesn't fit all. It's different for everybody.
Do you have a specific love bombing story?
Oh, yes. I definitely had one boyfriend who had said it like very, very quickly, and I wasn't there yet. And I did say, I was like, I'm not there yet. We've only been going out a couple weeks. He was like pressuring me to say it back. He was like, oh, I did this. Do you love me? He's like, I'm not going to give you this gift if you don't say you love me. And it was just like a really uncomfortable situation for me because I did care about the person, but I didn't want to fake my emotions either. So it put me in like a sticky situation.
Just don't threaten your significant
Yeah,
other.
no, that is a huge red flag, please.
Overly controlling / wants to know where you are all the time. In the past like 5 years, girls have gotten like super over men being like this, and it's become more of like an awareness type of situation. Like, we're literally having to raise awareness over men being controlling because it's just been something that's been going on for so long. When someone is constantly checking up on you, constantly, like, there's a huge difference again between being in love with someone and being possessive or controlling over someone. It's a super confusing and weird thing because it can very much come across as they care. They're just paying attention, and it can feel like affection at the same time, which is very hard to separate. I don't think you should ever tell a significant other, like, hey, you can't see this person or talk to this person.
I totally agree.
When you let those little things go and your partner starts to do those little controlling things, like, it just keeps going. I had a boyfriend who was just so controlling. Basically what would happen, it wasn't like direct, so it was hard for me to see that it was happening, but he would always just get in some sort of argument or disagreement with me whenever I would go do literally anything. Like, whenever I went and did stuff, it caused more of a problem. It was like controlling without me knowing it. So then I just started wanting to cater to his feelings, like emotional manipulation of just like constantly needing to take care of him and checking up on his feelings and how he was doing. And like, being controlling, there's like your typical controlling of like, you know, you can't talk to this person and you can't go do this, but there's also like the emotional control and emotional manipulation. One specific example, I was trying to celebrate my boyfriend at the time's birthday. We were at a club basically, and I walked across the club to go talk to the owner to order him like a cake and candles and like all the stuff for his birthday celebration.
Oh, that's so nice.
And I had like set up the whole reservation and everything, so like it's not like I was just
Yeah.
wandering around, and he was just glaring over at us. And like, the owner literally looked at me and was like, I don't think your boyfriend likes me. And I was like, no, he's fine, like, it's like all good. It was very much like a control thing. And then when I got back to our table, I just got ripped into about like, what were you doing over there? Like, why are you talking to those guys? I didn't want to give away the surprise, so like I couldn't say what it was.
Oh, that's awful.
While I was just getting ripped into, and basically I ended up crying, and as the cake and drinks and everything came out, and he just started like apologizing like relentlessly. It was crazy. Like, I was like crying, and I was like had a couple drinks, so it like just did not help.
Works, you know.
I like went down to the beach and was just like crying, and then the conversation turned into him getting upset at me for being sad because he was like, that's the shit where it's just like, it was always my fault all the time.
Invalidating the feelings. Oh, gaslight.
It's a broad one.
Yeah, it is a broad one. I think gaslight for me is like, you have an emotion that you're valid about having, or you're in a situation that is not necessarily your fault, and they do something that upsets you, and you express that like, what you did really hurt me, and they turn it around and are like, this is your fault. I don't know why you're saying that I did this. They're just like not listening to how you feel or how that affected you. I know that I had one situation where there was this one guy, and when we were like together alone, it was great, but he could only ask me to hang out at night after he was out with his friends, texting me drunk. And I had said something, I was like, you know, I like hanging out with you. It's really great. You're really sweet to me, but you know, why don't we ever hang out during the day? Why don't we do things during the day? Why don't I meet your friends? You meet my friends. And he put it in that like I was being too demanding and that I was getting oversensitive and that like I wanted to have control over him so that people knew that he was mine, which was never my intention. I didn't care about that. I just wanted to experience more things with him and not just be hooking up at night. But he made me actually feel like I was asking for too much and that I was like the one being crazy. If you feel a certain way and you express that, no one has the right to tell you that how you feel is wrong.
What she just explained is basically someone not only being defensive, but adding on like times 10 insults back to you to make you feel less than, or like you did something wrong.
Yeah, like,
that was something that I dealt with a lot in one of my relationships, is it was just always flipped back on me. Like I would say something and it was like, well, you do that too. Why didn't you bring that up when I did that if that was like such a big problem?
Exactly.
I think that's like, there's like certain signs of gaslighting, and that's like the flipping it back on you.
Yeah,
like people, they won't even address what you said. You can like see when you're talking and they're like thinking of like something to say back. They're not processing what you're saying. Another form of it, which is the nonchalant, like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, just dismissing it like this never even happened.
Yeah. Or there's a lot of people that will try to distract from what you're actually talking about. Like they'll bring up something that's like far left field, like being like, well, this one time you did this and it really hurt my feelings, so this and this. And you're like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything that's going on right now?
Last November 22nd, you didn't take out the trash when I asked you to, and it really made me feel like you didn't care about like my well-being. It's like, how did you even come up with that?
3 signs of gaslighting. Those were the 3. We'll list them right here. Next one talks about other girls / their appearance. This is a good one. This is a big one for me. The way that a man talks about other women is really big. How he talks about his mother, if he has sisters. I feel like a big red flag within this red flag, the baby red flag. I hate when men refer to women as like females.
Females? I don't feel like that's not offensive to me. What do you mean?
Really? Like when it's like, oh, I was talking to this female. It's like a different species. I just feel like it's weird to refer to women, or like the way, you know, like bitches, hoes, like.
I was gonna say like those are really.
Those are the obvious ones, but for some reason females has crept in there for me lately, because I just feel like it's like very separate. It's like, I'm gonna invite these males over. Like, you've never heard a woman say that. If men refer to women in derogatory manners, that's a big red flag. And then talking about their appearance, if that's like something that they notice first, or like are constantly criticizing.
Even just like talking, like seeing another girl, be like, oh my god, she looks so hot tonight in front of you. I feel like it's just like a sign of disrespect.
You can think that.
Yeah, totally.
For show, but just like, I feel like it's weird to talk about other people's appearances in general. Unless it's positive, being like, oh, I really like that person's dress, their hair, whatever. Like, so major red flag.
Okay. Talk a lot about their exes. This one has happened to me a lot lately, and it's very early on. I think that if you guys are having a serious conversation, you know, talking about your past experiences, if a girl like asks you about your past experiences, totally gratified, totally okay. But if you just meet them, they're like, oh, like my stupid ex-girlfriend, blah, blah, or just everything.
That's a huge red flag.
Everything somehow comes to have to do with their ex-girlfriend. Like, oh yeah, like that stain on the floor. My ex-girlfriend was here when that happened. Oh, she was the worst. Like, if they are like still worked up, still talking about it, still thinking about her or him that much, it means that they're not over. There's still a lot of there's still a lot of emotions and energy. Even if they say they're over it, I don't really want to hear about your past relationships.
If I was ever with anyone and they were talking about their ex, like I would just automatically be like, we're homies, like you can talk to me, like I want to be there to like help them, but I'm not gonna continue to pursue that person.
Bringing back to what you were saying, being derogatory, I really don't like it when they call their exes mean names and they're like really disrespectful.
You know, love and hate is like a very fine line.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you're just constantly running your mouth about your ex, what, are you obsessed with her? Like,
there was just one experience. I was hanging out with this guy and he had caught the girl he was seeing with another guy. And he had
shouldn't matter.
In on it. But and it wasn't even, if he had told me once, fine. But it was the fact that I heard him tell the story to so many people in such a short amount of time. And it hadn't happened like that recently. Okay, tell me once, I get it, it's really traumatic and that's an awful thing to have to go through. But you know, you've told like 20 people in the past 10 minutes. Like that's a lot of people to be telling for you to claim that you're totally over it and totally fine with it.
Period. On to the next one. Don't respond to texts / calls within an appropriate time frame. Again, communication, super important. Obviously, like, people have lives, you know? Like, I know every guy is gonna be like, oh, like, just because I'm not responding doesn't mean X, Y, Z. I understand that people can be controlling and some people are really intense about this stuff, but just in general, like, yeah, if it's taking hours, like when people are like, oh, I just wasn't on my phone, when you see stories going up.
I was just gonna say that. That pisses me off.
Activity on other things, that's kind of where you lose me. It's just more knowing your significant other's schedule and like what their day-to-day life looks like and working around that and communicating and just, you know, letting each other know like what's going on. Ghosting is just
disrespectful.
The worst thing ever. I don't know why it's become such a popular thing in today's culture. Don't take disrespect from people that aren't willing to communicate with you, because like that's literally the bare minimum is communication of like, hey, you did this, I need space, or I'm not gonna text you for the next couple hours because I'm going here. Like, I'm guilty of, I think everyone's guilty of like not communicating as well as they could all the time, but as long as you're trying. So a fun little manipulation tactic that I've experienced in multiple relationships is where a guy will like send me like a massive text message about something that bothers them or something that I did wrong or whatever. I'll go in responding and like try to call them and they just won't answer. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, why would you send someone a giant text message and call them? It was like hours that they didn't respond after sending a text like that, and I was like freaking out the whole time, and that happened so many times where they would just rant on me and then ghost. I'm just sitting there like, the fuck?
Okay, only asked to hang out with you at night. I don't know if this needs as much explanation, but I just think this is a huge red flag. They're not looking for commitment. They're just looking for like a booty call. And
ain't nothing wrong with a little late night.
Yeah, no, it's like that's what you want.
Yeah, if you're trying to get into a relationship, no. I don't know why. I think that happened to me one time and I just didn't even realize it until like so far in. I'm pretty adamant and like crazy about why don't we go work out or like go do something productive like during the day. Really, really important to me. Constantly pushing sexual boundaries. This is one I feel like that doesn't just apply to people that are getting to know each other, but also people that are dating. Just because you're dating someone or married to them does not mean that you just have to do whatever they want. A huge difference or gap that I've seen between men and women is like pornography and the way we like go about having sex. Obviously, women are a little bit more emotional and connected to certain things. In my opinion, when someone constantly asks to do something and you've already clearly expressed like, I don't want to do that or I'm uncomfortable with doing that, even if it's in a nice way, if they're like constantly bringing it up, obviously when you're in love with someone, you want to do like what makes them happy, and so you have to take that into consideration as well, that whatever you ask already is heavily influencing that person. Everyone has different sexual preferences, but you have to communicate about that stuff, and there's just like not a lot of communication or just not asking. Like a lot of guys just won't even ask like before they do stuff that they prefer. It's an act that you need to take slowly and a conversation, more conversations that need to be had. I'm a big communicator, especially even like in the bedroom. Like I like to talk a lot, and that's just been a learned thing because I've had way too many experiences when I was younger of moments where I was like, I should have spoken up and said something. So now I'm very like verbal and very communicative, but it's really important to step up for yourself and speak up for yourself when you are in situations. Even if like that person is, you know, makes you feel obligated, or even if they make you feel bad. Like I've been in so many situations where guys have made me feel bad for not wanting to do something. Yeah, almost like bullying or making fun of me.
Oh, absolutely.
And in those moments, you just gotta kind of laugh it off because that person is insane. Like that just comes off really desperate to me, honestly.
It's like the assumption too, like if you take a girl home or if you start hooking up with them, that means that like you're automatically gonna have sex with them. You're hooking up with someone and they expect you to just like have sex with them because you start hooking up with them. And even when you like verbalize it, no, they try to like question your thought, but like, oh, you're already here. Oh, but we really vibe. Oh, but like, what's the matter? You don't like me? Why don't you want to? Just pressuring. And maybe there's like alcohol involved and things like that. But I think if a girl or a guy senses like any hesitation on the other person's part, you need to respect that. And if you don't, that is a huge red flag. And you know, it's crossing a really, really dangerous boundary. It's not necessarily completely consensual.
Physical cues as well, like obviously no means no, like it should just have to be verbal, but I wish that guys would pay more attention to the physical cues as well. Like when you're saying like the hesitation, like you can see when someone's uncomfortable with
absolutely.
something. Like
they
they don't have to be like, I really don't like this, to tell that they really don't like it. Like it's not difficult in my opinion. Also again with the whole like male's perspective of like dominating like a female, like
Yeah.
someone being hesitant or shy comes off as like something that's attractive to a man, which I think is really weird. Again, a huge difference between being shy and being uncomfortable. And it's better to play it safe than sorry. It's just never worth it.
As soon as I sense any pressure from the guy, I automatically just walk out because I'm like, this is a red flag that he doesn't care enough to like make sure that I want to be comfortable and like I want to enjoy it. It's like his needs first, you know? It's gotta be both of our needs. Come on.
Should we do the last one together?
Yeah, let's do it together.
The final red flag. Oh. Okay. Oh, this was the cross out one. This is a good one. Weird friend group vibes / who they surround themselves with. I feel like we could both talk about this one forever.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm a big believer that the 5 people that you surround yourself with are a huge reflection on like who you are.
Yeah, I mean, if you're always surrounded by a certain type of energy or like a certain type of opinion, I think it's hard for you to kind of, you know, navigate like what is wrong and what is right when you're always surrounded by that opinion. I find that sometimes like a big thing for me is if I'm with a guy and like their friends are disrespecting me or like saying something that makes me uncomfortable and they're kind of just like blowing it off or like laugh with it. And obviously like I love to joke around, but there's like a fine line between playing around and something just being disrespectful or mean.
You know, pick and choose your battles, but for the most part,
Yeah.
I feel like everyone should always at least just vibe and like give each other a chance. What do you think about guys that only hang out with other guys like in their friend group?
I think that sometimes it means that they don't know how to have healthy relationships with girls as friends.
Yes. I tend to find that a lot of guys that don't have girlfriends have only romantic
Exactly,
relationships
exactly.
with females, which is like a huge, huge red flag for me. I wish I could have told my red flags to my younger self, but it's all been amazing learning experiences, and the reason I want to make this video so that if you are someone who's dating, if you're someone who is, you know, looking to be in a relationship, these are all solid things to look for. I hope that this video was slightly helpful for anyone who's looking for dating advice or relationship advice in general. Thank you so much for talking about your experiences. Good luck to all you ladies and gents out there in the streets. It's a tough one out there. Make sure you guys comment down below what one of your red flags is or what your biggest red flag is. And then also comment any questions or topics you want us to talk about next time when we do this. But until then, I love you guys so much and I'll see you next time.
Bye guys.